Arrogant Sony is back, boys, and I just want to talk about the PS5 Pro announcement that happened a few days ago by the time you see this video, and also another thing which was silently changed, that being all of Sony's DualSense controllers are $5 more now. Oh boy, I just have a lot to talk about. So yeah, let's just get right into it, shall we? As of me recording this video, it's been a few hours since Sony showcased the PS5 Pro. They did a presentation. They call it the PS5 technical event. I don't know, but we all knew it was about the PS5 Pro. I did not want it to be the PS5 Pro. I was of the opinion that we don't need the PS5 Pro at all, and the reason why we don't need it, and this is something I still do believe, it's just there's a lot of people that say, oh, we need the PS5 Pro for better frame rates, better quality, it can eliminate performance versus quality mode and just have it be the same, which is something even Sony themselves says in this presentation. But here's the thing. The developers are just not optimizing the game correctly for the system. They're getting lazy developing the games for the hardware. This is the same issue with the Switch, where lots of people say the Switch can't run this or that, and now it's becoming clear, the Switch, like 7 years into its life, it's becoming clear, yeah, the Switch is getting up there in age, but still, many times, you can see people saying, oh, the Switch isn't powerful, but here's the thing, it's just the developers not optimizing the game correctly with the hardware, and so you get people being stupid and think that it's the hardware's fault when it's the companies that make the game's fault, and it's the same case with the PS5 Pro and the normal PS5. People think that because the games are not optimized correctly, it's the fault of the hardware. So, we need the PS5 Pro so it can brute force the power to make a run like at a higher frame rate, higher quality, and that will probably work to some extent. And I can't deny powerful hardware will help make these games run better by default to at least some extent. But many developers have to actually update their games to, run better on these systems. In fact, that's another problem with the PS5 Pro. Many developers are not going to do that. They're not going to update their games for that. It's an option. Maybe there'll be some improvements here and there, like across the board, without updates. But for the most part, if you want substantial stuff, they're going to need to go back to update their games. And most developers are not going to do that. And two, eventually, there's going to come a point in like a year or two where, again, people are going to be saying, oh, even the PS5 Pro can run this game with a stable frame rate and like all this quality images or whatever. We need the PS6, and then the PS6 comes, and then the cycle repeats, We get a taste of higher quality, and then the developers get lazy. Of course, there's always, to an extent, the hardware is just getting, a little bit older, so there is some limitations here and there. But I really do think a large part of why you're seeing these games lately, like Final Fantasy 16, 7 Rebirth, Black Myth Wukong, whatever, the reason you're seeing these games not run the best is because the developers are getting lazy. And you could argue maybe to some extent it's the hardware too, but I just think that the laziness is the biggest factor. They're starting to not care, after we're already 4 years into this generation. So yeah, that's just my opinion on why we didn't even need the PS5 Pro. But I still went into this event hoping for the best, expecting the worst. And to be honest, for most of the event, it was kind of fine. There was nothing really to show. No new game announcements, but that's fine. That's not what the event was for. But actually, the event itself was actually pretty fine. It wasn't mind-blowing, but it got me kind of interested in the PS5 Pro until the very end, which we'll talk about. But yeah, when they were talking about the improvements, I can see where they're coming from. I didn't really fully agree. Like, they showed the comparison shots of like, oh, this is the game on PS5 and this is the game on PS5 Pro, and the images look like the exact same to me. Like, you can see like almost no differences. With the frame rate, you can more easily tell, but even then, I think that doesn't matter that much to me as like many other people. But like with the quality of the image, I couldn't really tell, and that's because the YouTube compression is like awful. Also, I just think graphics are already good enough. We don't need crazy graphics anymore. And yeah, so that was an issue. But even then, like, I still saw some value. Like, okay, I can see where Sony is coming from. The guy that they got to host this thing, Mark Surley, I don't know if that's how you say his name, whatever. But he's a good guy. Like, he talks well. I saw lots of people compliment him, like the way he talks and stuff. So I can see why Sony picked him to showcase the PS5 Pro. Because he does talk pretty well. From the way he was talking and describing this thing, this device, I was thinking, okay, I can kind of see where Sony's coming from, developers are coming from, even if I don't know if I'll ever get it, but I can see the option. But then they showed a sizzle reel of the games apparently running on PS5 Pro. I could not tell the difference. And then they showed the price at the very end, and then they cut to black, like they were scared to show it. And the price is $700. What the hell? Like, I'm sorry, but there's no console that should be that much money. It really shouldn't, especially because that's getting dangerously close to PC levels territory, which PCs are like $1,000 if you want a good high-end PC. But even then, there's like cheaper options from what I know about like PCs that you can get for like $300 or something. But if you want like the high-end stuff, like the PS5 Pro is like getting up there, like really dangerously close. And it's even more getting up there if you take into account the vertical stand is sold separately, which is the same stupid thing they did with the PS5 Slim, which is already dumb. I think that's a waste anyway, the PS5 Slim. But yeah, that doesn't include the vertical stand, which by the way is $30. And then this PS5 does not come with a disc drive. You need to buy that separately for $80. So if you add all of that up, if you want the full PS5 Pro experience, it's going to cost $810 plus tax. Yeah, that's not worth it. And the base PS5, the launch one, was $500. It came with the vertical stand too, that you can change, to be horizontal. Like, oh my god, Sony, what is going on? Why? And this is another issue with prices. You see this a lot with Sony, but you also see, certain cases with Xbox and Nintendo where the prices are not going down for consoles like they should. For the past generations, they have been going down, getting cheaper, and maybe they'll have a revision down the line, like the PS4 Pro, that costs like the same amount as the normal PS4, but, the regular PS4 went down in price. This is not the case. In fact, Sony's the main company doing this, where their stuff is not getting cheaper, it's going up. Like, they silently revealed that the prices were going up for all the DualSense controllers by $5, which isn't much, but still, that's a lot. Why are you even doing that halfway through this generation? So like the regular DualSense controller is like $75 now instead of $70, while the color DualSense controllers are now $80 instead of $75. Of course, in Japan, they're also increasing the prices for the regular PS5 too. Games, even at the beginning of the generation, the prices went up for games. They were $60 before, now they're $70. variety. I feel like I don't see games go on sale that often for the PS5 or Xbox anymore. Like, they still go more often than Nintendo's, which, oh boy, Nintendo's like rarely go on sale. But yeah, and speaking on Nintendo, their consoles, like, they don't get cheaper at all. You get some discounts here and there, like for Black Friday, but you would usually see like the consoles getting cheaper. Like, you would think Nintendo would make the Switch like cheaper for the fact that many people want them to beat the PS2 in terms of sales, and the best way to do that is to cut your console's price, and Nintendo is not doing that. And I don't know what's going on with like these companies, but especially Sony. They're either increasing prices for some reason midway through the generation, or they're just not changing the prices at all. And this is very unprecedented to see, and it brings a worrying sign for the future. Especially again with Sony. Again, this I still can't stop thinking about the fact that the PS5 Pro is $700 and $810 if you want the full experience. And it makes me worried about the future with the PS6. Like, is that going to be like close to $1,000? What's going to happen with Xbox? You know, there's been some stuff going on with Xbox. Like, people are thinking that they're going to exit the console market because they're expanding their games to other systems like the PS5 and Switch. Although they have already been doing that with the Switch for many years now. But I don't know why people are taking more interest. I guess because they're moving their games to PlayStation as well. More of them, you know, so that got more people interested. But anyway, the point being, you see lots of people worrying about Xbox, and I don't blame them at all. Xbox, like, it's worrying what's going on, and if Xbox does exit out the console market, Sony has full reign to do whatever the heck they want, and increase the prices, jack them up like crazy, and, you know, there's no one stopping them. Like, of course, there's PC and Nintendo, but they're their own separate beasts. They don't compete with each other, really. The only ones that were competing with each other was Xbox and Sony, but now it doesn't seem like that, so it's very worrying for the future. And I just want to make this clear that we shouldn't be tolerating this, you know? We shouldn't be tolerating the 700 price point. I already see some people, most people hate it too, but I see some people defending it, saying, oh, it's only for the enthusiasts, you know, that pay $1,000 for the iPhone every year. Well, one, you do know that there's like some people that do buy the iPhone every year. Most people are not doing that. Most people are buying an iPhone for 1 year and keeping it for a couple of years, and then eventually they'll either sell it or trade it in. And that's another thing. Apple, like, they have like trade-in values or plans where you can pay monthly, you know, which consoles don't really have for the most part, like, besides some unofficial things like, you know, some thrift shops, not really from the companies themselves. For the most part, Xbox kind of has a thing, Xbox All Access, but for the most part, you can pay a console like a monthly plan. With iPhone and phones in general, you can, so that's more cheaper, you know. And also, you know, again, there's like trade-in plans you can do that gets people incentivized to buy the newest thing. So most people are not buying $1,000 phones every year. And oh my god, and even if you say it's for the enthusiasts, I saw some enthusiasts saying like, oh my god, that's more expensive than I was thinking. Like, this isn't right for Sony. We should be taking a stand to this. I hope more people speak out about this. I hope that this product does not succeed at all. Hopefully they change their mind about the price. I doubt it. At the very least, I hope it makes them, you know, not charge that much for like the PS6, for example. Like, we need our voices to be heard. And I can see some people being pessimistic about like, oh, it's not going to do anything if we speak out our mind. And I can kind of relate to them, because I feel like most of the time, if you complain about something, it's not going to do anything to the company. But enough people voicing their concerns or complaints to a company will do something. But it just depends. I can see where they're coming from, because I feel like most of the time when people complain about stuff, it's like the vast minority of people, and so it doesn't really affect the company's like products at all. But we can make our voices heard. It is possible. So please, this is not good for, you know, competition, game preservation, the disc drive being sold separately. Like, this is such a bad look for Sony, and like it makes me wonder what is going on. And I think, well, I mean, I guess I know what's going on. Xbox is like not doing the best, so Sony thinks they can get away with this, and I hope they're in for a rude financial awakening very soon, like they were with the PS3, which was $600. And also lots of people always say, "Oh, inflation." Oh my god, I hate the inflation argument for multiple reasons, but one of the reasons I hate the inflation thing, because the PS3 is like more expensive if you take inflation into account. But here's the thing, the PS3 can play Blu-rays, it also had a disc drive, it had full backwards compatibility with PS1 and 2, you know, they got rid of the PS2 one in some models, but whatever. It's like, you know, there was so much more value there. And, you know, that's not even taken into account. I feel like inflation is, that argument is so stupid, because money just worked differently in the past. So even if you adjust for inflation, I don't know, I'm not an economic expert, obviously, but I feel like it's different value than if it came out right now. Like, I feel like more people had more money back then. But I don't know, maybe I'm off base. I feel like I'm talking out of my behind right now. But I'm just saying that I don't think inflation is a good argument. And yeah, I don't think people should be defending this at all. Even if you're like, oh, maybe I'll get it, I may be interested because of what they showed off. You should be saying, yeah, Sony, you need to lower the price or something. Like, this is not good. Like, please have your voices heard. I'm begging you. But anyways, guys, I think that's gonna be it for this video. I just kind of been rambling at this point. I can't believe Sony is arrogant again. I mean, I guess arrogant Sony never really left, but it got toned down a bit. But now it's back in full force, and oh boy, it's not good for the consumer, because again, many consumers don't have monies. I don't have monies. You need to like, you know, save a lot of money for these expensive things, and then, like, you know, gaming is already a luxury type thing, but you're adding a $700 system and expecting people to buy it is like stupid. And also, lots of kids have these systems, or people that are not financially well off, like me. So yeah, that's a big issue. Oh my god. But anyways, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, play some Xenoblade, and I'll catch you guys next time for more. Peace. Bye, everyone.